Welcome to the Know, I'm Ashley, and AtGames' upcoming Sega Flashback Classic console was supposed to be the chosen one. The SNES Classics competition's already live for pre-orders, so one up already, and it releases 1 week ahead of Nintendo's next retro console. But the thing has kind of went south recently, once outlets actually got their hands on the system. GameSpot and others wrote that it was a barely working mess with frame rate drops and a buggy UI. IGN even called it the trash bag. Ouch, not pulling punches. However, AtGames is now speaking out against those reviews, and they claim to have a pretty good excuse. The early consoles they sent out for review were faulty. The company said in a statement to Kotaku, "A batch of our review units were accidentally shipped out with early software builds that do not represent the final version. We are working to get updated and correct final products in the hands of reviewers in the coming weeks." Well, that inspires confidence about the release. So we'll see if second impressions of the system improve, but for now, maybe don't go throwing all your dollars at them just yet. DC movies haven't always worked out so hot for Warner Brothers, but that's definitely not the case with the Injustice video game series, which is fantastic. Time Warner announced in a recent earnings briefing that NetherRealm Studios' superhero beat-em-up was officially the top-grossing console game of Q2 2017. There are some sneaky qualifiers in that statement. Notice they don't say top-selling game of Q2, but rather top-grossing, which probably means they're talking about the money they made on sales plus microtransactions. Either way, it's good news for the franchise, especially after the game was so well received both from critics and from fans. This definitely gives ammunition to the crowd who's been demanding more single-player content from their favorite fighting franchises, you know, Street Fighter. So far, it's worked out very well for Injustice 2. After a few weeks of a couple of PR snafus in a row, the PUBG community has some great news to look forward to today because the long-awaited monthly patch, which was delayed from last month, is finally live, bringing a whole bunch of changes. The patch adds a new weapon via care packages, new character customizations, FOV sliders for first-person view, the much-hyped first-person servers, new animations, and of course, a variety of stability and bug fixes. Oh, and real exciting, you can honk the horn of your vehicle if your squad mate's taken too long. Now, for those wondering when the vaulting update is coming, because that's the one when everyone saw it went, this will change everything. Player Unknown still says that's about a month away. For now, go nuts honking your horns and giving away your location and playing the game in first person, although we've already seen some fun little clips of buggy versions of that where you can see the back of the eyeballs and the mouth. It's exciting stuff. Oculus Rift VR headsets may have gotten way cheaper in recent months, but that hasn't stopped the general public from being way more interested in the competition. VR Focus just did some research into Google search trends, and the findings still indicate that PlayStation VR dominates search results when it comes to VR. The Rift was generally at the bottom of the pack throughout June and July, but it did see a big uptick for a brief moment during their $399 summer sale, putting the headset and touch controllers on par with PlayStation VR. Considering that Sony is barely marketing PlayStation VR right now, and we're still waiting for more titles to come for it, gotta be a pretty big blow to Oculus. The company has been struggling to move their headsets. They've gone through a couple of substantial price cuts in the last year to get closer to Sony's price. Apparently, power of the PlayStation brand, it's winning out. Also, that it's just so easy in comparison. Although you do have to use Move controllers, and they still look like light-up dildos. Crossplay for games like Minecraft and Rocket League is coming to, well, just about every platform except for one, PlayStation. But apparently, Microsoft is still trying to wear them down. Gamers recently spotted on the FAQ section for Minecraft's Better Together crossplay page. While we are thrilled to be able to confirm the new version of Minecraft is coming to Nintendo Switch, we're still in discussion with Sony about PlayStation, and we have nothing to confirm. We would love to work with Sony to bring players on PlayStation 4 into this ecosystem as well. Last we heard, Sony's reluctance to jump on crossplay was about security and protecting the children, which Microsoft and others called ridiculous at the time. Maybe one day they'll stop cock-blocking crossplay and the kids. But it seems for now, we wait. Could we be getting a major unannounced Switch port very soon? That seems to be the case, according to a just spotted developer's LinkedIn page. Detectives at NeoGAF found the listing, which belongs to Virtuous senior programmer Zhao Yuzhang, whose current work in progress is porting a AAA title to Nintendo Switch. Yeah, you're more than likely familiar with Virtuous's work, even if you don't immediately recognize the name, because they're the studio responsible for loads of next-generation remasters like Return to Arkham, the Ezio Collection, and the Final Fantasy X and X-2 ports. So this certainly has a lot of fans hopeful that we could be seeing, well, any of those franchises come to Switch, although one of the more likely targets would probably be Return to Arkham or the Ezio Collection. But come on. Oh, something from the Final Fantasy series would be amazing. Unlikely, I know. Pipe dream, but it would be cool. It's also possible this could be a brand new port of something that just hasn't been re-released yet. Still, something cool? Oh boy, here's a blast from the past. Okay, so remember all those Battlefront 3 assets that leaked all the way back in 2012? Yes, the canceled Star Wars Battlefront 3 attempted by Free Radical from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away where Free Radical still existed. Around the time of those leaks, we also got some other Battlefront 3 leaks from a really bizarre source. They were hidden on the disc of Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City by developer Slant6. Super weird, I know. Well, interestingly enough, we're learning for the first time some of the repercussions of that leak, because apparently it cost the developers their shot at another Resident Evil game. This kind of bizarre news comes from Game Watcher, who spoke to Andy Santos, former game director at Slant6, who said about Raccoon City, "We might have got a few terrible review scores, but it was #1 in Japan. After making this #1 game, we got our second game canceled because of these Star Wars assets being on the disc. I only found out about them from the news story, and I went into work and found out by the end of the day that our next game wasn't going to be made with Capcom." Oh, so not only did they lose Battlefront 3, they also lost another Resident Evil game, which is rough. Although, considering the review scores of Raccoon City, maybe it was for the best. We may never know what the plan was going to be for Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia in the upcoming installments of the current Star Wars trilogy, but we are hearing a bit more about her role in Episode 8 and how it's actually going to play out. And according to some of Fisher's castmates, the General is going to have a fine close to her role in the saga. Finn actor John Boyega spoke about the part Leia plays in the next movie with ABC News, saying, "This movie sends her off in an amazing, amazing way, and she is still kept alive in this franchise. That's the beauty of it. She lives forever in a sense." Oh, so you're saying she gets a lightsaber, right? And then she becomes a Force ghost with everyone and lives on forever. In our dreams. The news about HBO's recent hack may have gotten worse this week. At the time, it was known that the hackers took over 1.5 terabytes of data, including unaired episodes of some shows and potentially scripts for the upcoming Game of Thrones episodes. Seems like the details for the entire season, by the way, so still watch out for that one. But now the security employed by HBO to clean up the mess has confirmed to Google that the hack also included thousands of company documents. So these company documents are believed to include employee information and potentially corporate email. To put it into some horrifying perspective, the Sony hack resulted in the theft of 200 gigabytes of internal data, and we're looking at 7 times that with this HBO intrusion. Not good at all for the network, who's now joined by the FBI in its investigation into what was all stolen. But HBO did reassure employees that it was likely their email wasn't compromised, so small comforts? There were some weird stories going around this week that NASA was on the lookout for, and I love this one, badass Earth defenders to protect us from aliens and to protect aliens from us, thanks to a job posting for a planetary protection officer. I sent in my resume. Naturally, the internet freaked out because holy shit, aliens, but sadly, no, that's not exactly what's going on. So if you want to pull your job application back like I did, feel free. The role is actually to protect aliens or other planets specifically from us so we don't contaminate them in upcoming missions, which sounds way boringer than hanging out with a bunch of aliens. A spokesperson from NASA told Gizmodo, the Office of Planetary Protection is involved in many facets of mission development to prevent microbial contamination of other planets and our own. So there you have it. No aliens coming to kick our asses. We don't get to be friends with them. We don't get to hang out. Really sounds like kind of a boring job. Although, seriously, NASA, might not be a bad idea to have some badasses like that on hand, right? Like our own space Avengers? Like perhaps like Guardians of the Galaxy? Just saying. All right, that's all the news we have for you guys today. Let us know what you think of all these stories in the comments down below to make sure you get news from every corner of the internet every single day. Like this video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the Note. It's a 2-step process.
Eddie, how did you not make a laser beam joke?
Oh, yeah.
Either way, still good news for the franchise, especially after the game was so well received from Finns. Finns really love it. Season, by the way, so still watch out for that one. But now the security employed